Hey guys and gals, Shadow Dragon here with a new video idea I want to try for the channel. I know there are so many videos like this and this will probably get lost in the sea of them, but I love the Zelda franchise, and I want to list my top 10 favorite games from it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say that these are my own personal opinions, and some of them probably aren't going to make much sense, but you can roast me in the comments later. Let's get this list started. Oh, yeah, and if you're new to the channel, why not subscribe? It would mean a lot to me. Starting out this list, I gotta give it to the Four Swords Adventure for the Nintendo GameCube. Don't get me wrong, I love this game, and I love the unique gameplay of being able to use both a GameCube and a Game Boy. But the reason it's going so low on this list is because you needed certain equipment to do this, which, by the time I started playing this, I didn't have. I also didn't really have anyone to play it with me, which was another big part of the game. Alright, this one's probably gonna roll some heads, but next up is Majora's Mask for the Nintendo 64. This was a fantastic game for the series, and despite the fact that I have a Let's Play going on now for this game, link down below, it's far from my favorite. The biggest reason it's going so low on this list is the game is fairly small, with only 5 main areas to explore. Some of the dungeons are very confusing, looking at you, Great Bay. There's also the remake, but that's a rant for another time, but the biggest reason it's not higher is that fucking fish Georg. I really hate that thing. This game is probably gonna shock some people, but I love the Oracle of Ages for the Game Boy Color. I didn't actually play it on the Game Boy. My first experience with the game was when they brought a port of it to the Nintendo 3DS. I was able to play both the games on a road trip out of state, where I just fell in love with the puzzles and was proud of myself when I completed them. It only goes this high though, as some of those puzzles were quite difficult from what I remember. Alright, here we go. Next up on the list is the Phantom Hourglass for the Nintendo DS. This is another special game from my childhood since I grew up with a DS. Finding out that a Zelda game was coming to the DS blew my young mind. While I didn't like the Ocean King's temple, I did like all the other dungeons. I loved the items you got from them, and some of the boss fights will always stick out to me. But while I do enjoy this game, there are others in the series that I enjoyed way more. Next up is the game that caused a great divide, Skyward Sword for the Nintendo Wii. When this game first came out, I heard both good and bad things from all my friends. Some hated the motion controls, while others thought they were the best thing since sliced bread. I didn't mind them as much, but loved the art style of the game. The story was fantastic, and with the HD remake out on the Switch, I hope those that hated the motion controls will give it another try. It's not in the top 5 because while I do enjoy the game, replaying it made me realize just how long the game really is, which, for some games, isn't bad, but in this case, it just felt like they were trying too hard to make more stuff, especially in that third act of the game. Alright, you made it to the top 5. Next up is A Link Between Worlds for the Nintendo 3DS. This is one of those games that I was unsure of at first. It looked like a remake of A Link to the Past, and that game took me way too long to beat. But as I was playing through it, I found that it was much more than A Link to the Past. I loved the new cast line of characters that they added. The ability to buy your weapons when you needed them was great too. The new painting feature really made some of the puzzles fun, and some of the boss fights even better. Some of the dungeons, though, can be a bit confusing, but I still enjoyed them. Only reason it's at number 5, though, is that the next few games I liked just a bit more. Next up at number 4 is Link's Awakening for the Game Boy/Game Boy Color. I played this on the 3DS port, but I do have memories of the game before that. Specifically the shop where you could get a free bow, but at the cost of death if you went back in. I played this so much as a kid and can remember most of the first half by heart. While not the best game in the Zelda franchise, the reason it's so high on this list is because of that nostalgic feeling for me. Knowing I could go back and go through the first few dungeons with ease always made it more memorable for me. Alright, time to make a few people angry, but I'm putting the Wind Waker for the Nintendo GameCube at number 3. This is an amazing Zelda title, and another game from my childhood. I remember playing through this game so many times just to go through the first few dungeons and fight those bosses. I loved the graphics as a kid, and I still enjoy them today. It was unique for the series to look, even though at the time, plenty of people thought of it as childish. The enemy and dungeon designs will always hold a place in my heart for being some of the coolest and funniest ones in the franchise. Now making the rest of you angry by putting Twilight Princess for the Nintendo Wii in the number 2 slot. This game is fantastic, has one of the best storylines, some of the best characters, and the art style brings it all together. I love the ability to turn into a wolf to solve certain puzzles, or just to parkour when needed. The item choices are some of the best and most interesting out there, as, while the hook shot was in other Zelda games, Twilight Princess took it a step forward and gave us the claw shot. And not just one, but two of them. There was also the spinner, but all that did was make Link into a Beyblade. Beyblade, let it rip! I don't know why I made that joke. I actually like the spinner. All in all, Twilight Princess has probably the best gameplay out of all the games in the franchise in my opinion. However, the only reason it gets the number 2 slot is due to the next game. That's right, the Zelda game that I love the most and will die on this hill for is the Minish Cap for the Nintendo Game Boy Advance. This title holds some of my greatest memories in playtime. I've gone back so many times to play this one again and again. Hell, I bought it on the Wii U eShop back in the day because I love it so much. While it may not have the best gameplay, it does have the coolest gimmick in the series. The ability to turn small! Okay, jokes aside, I really do like this gimmick as it made that one trope of having a boss become a normal enemy, but reversed it in a way that made sense. The first boss you fight is literally one of the most common enemies in the game. That blew my mind as a kid and I still think it's cool as hell. Fusing the Kinstones was kinda cool too, but being able to shrink size to find secret dungeons in the town will always win in my book. So yeah, that was my top 10 Legend of Zelda games. Leave a comment if you agree or disagree, or if you want to see more top 10s in the future. Thanks for watching, y'all are amazing, hope to see y'all in the next one.